So, Blizzard hasn't really had the best track record with balancing Overwatch in the past, and I see that they are trying their best, but I think in a lot of cases, they're kind of misguided, and honestly, make some big mistakes while balancing Overwatch. Now, with Brigitte, or Brigitte, coming out really recently, I've probably heard the most players I've ever heard, ever, in competitive, complain about the character, that she's way too overpowered, and that they're going to be quitting the game until she gets a nerf within the next week. And yeah, that is a problem about the community, honestly. We overreact way too much. But as well, they do have a point. If you look at Brigitte's win rate statistically, it is way too strong. That's all I'm going to say here. And while the statistic should be taken with a grain of salt because she did just barely come out and there isn't way too much play rate on her yet, still, with a decent statistic, around a 56% win rate, as well with a decent amount of pro players saying that she's way too strong before she even came out, it kind of makes you wonder, how did she even get through the vetting process? And I think this is why I really want to bring it up right now. Now, I'm going to say for myself personally, I really like Brigitte. I think she's a very fun character, and I enjoy playing her, but I want her to be at a balanced state so people don't complain about me picking up this character when she finally launches 2 months after we first get a player on the PTR. It's just so wonky that they haven't fixed this yet, and I guess here are some of my reasons why they haven't, and something that they really should be doing to fix Overwatch, to stop players from complaining and to stop players from at least threatening that they're going to quit in the near future. Now, the first thing I'm going to say right here is that their whole idea of using quick play in the PTR to balance the game has proven useless time and time again in every single way. Now, I guess I should say right here, quick play is just a terrible place to learn how to balance the game, and so is the PTR, because every single game has a awful 4 DPS team comp versus either a good team comp or another 4 DPS team comp, and it's never going to work. You're never going to learn anything from that, and we've seen that over and over again. So yeah, that didn't really help. All it kind of gives you is a good taste to how strong the character is, so there's that. And as far as the PTR goes, we haven't seen any meaningful changes on any of the new heroes since Doomfist, and I think the problem is that they tried it with Doomfist, but they way overreacted. People were complaining, so they instantly nerfed him straight up to the ground, and he was useless for months on end. What I wish they would do is put the characters on the PTR, give us about a week or two to try them out, to get used to them, to see how they're fitting, and then slightly nerf them if they're a bit too strong, or slightly buff them if they're a bit too weak, and keep doing that for, you know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks until they fit in the right power bracket from what pro players think and what the main community thinks. And I think this is really what they should be doing, because if you are slowly changing a hero and people keep hearing about the newest OP hero getting small nerfs, they're probably thinking, you know, finally going to come out to real competitive games and she'll be pretty balanced. But what happens in real life so far is there are almost no nerfs coming out to new heroes, and you just sit around and finally they come out to competitive and they're either overpowered or useless, and that isn't how it should be. I really wish they would use either of these things to actually balance the game a bit better. I think especially with Brigitte with the quick play situation, it just was handled so badly. She was in quick play for like 2 months. I guess PTR and quick play for like 2 months. And then within the first 3 days it come into competitive, they nerfed the character. I mean, I don't know how to say anything else about that. That shouldn't be how it is. And I hope that they can somehow figure a way to balance that out in the future and to make so that when characters are finally released in competitive, they are somewhat competitive, not extremely overpowered and not extremely underpowered. Now, of course, it is impossible to ask for them to have every character be exactly in the middle of the pack and be exactly, you know, pretty good, but not the best, but not terrible. That's impossible because somebody has to be good and somebody has to be bad. But releasing characters in just extremely overpowered states, that's pretty easy to fix, and I wish they would kind of fix that. Now, one of the ways that I thought that maybe they could kind of fix this, and there are a lot of ways, which I'd like to hear in the comment section down below, but one of the ways is to maybe get a sample size of a few random 1,000 people out of quick play or out of the PTR from a variety of different ranks and see how the community feels. Maybe you could ask for them to rank the character from 1 to 5 in different categories, or maybe write up what they're feeling about the character, but actually get a feel from the community from multiple people that aren't just from Reddit or aren't just from the forums, and see how that's working, see how they're feeling, and of course do get a little bit of pro opinion. Now, I would say right here, don't just focus on pro opinion, because, you know, other people do exist, but that can be kind of important. Now, to my next, I guess, idea right here, it does go back to pro opinion, so, you know, kind of important. But this one is to maybe listen to the pro players' ideas of how to fix characters. Now, as far as balancing goes, it is kind of hard because the pro way of playing a game is a lot different from the rest of the way that you play it in competitive. I mean, Widowmaker is so good in pro play, but not that good in competitive, so it is kind of a disconnect. But as far as actually balancing the characters, I think a lot of the times they have quite good ideas. For Brigitte, I saw this one post, sorry, I don't remember exactly who it is, but he said, and you know, they have multiple ways to nerf a hero. They could make so that her ultimate only goes to 100 extra armor instead of 150, and that would really help in the higher ranks while not really impacting the lower ranks. They could make so that her extra armor after her ultimate runs out will be hit before the shield is hit on characters that have shield. That would be pretty good. And he also said maybe there could be a shield bash being changed. And I think that those are all pretty good ideas. For myself personally, I enjoy the idea of making so that her ultimate's a little worse, which they are actually doing, and maybe making the shield thing happen, because that would be kind of nice as well. But in general, I think being able to come up with ideas like that nerf the character but don't completely make the character feel like trash are great, because again, looking at Doomfist, nerfing the main part of his kit, the punch, it just made him not fun anymore. It made him not good anymore. While maybe if they nerf some other parts of his kit, and you know, maybe slightly nerf the punch because it was too good, but mainly nerf other parts of his kit or change other parts of his kit, I think that is what they should be focusing on. And that could, I guess, be a problem about Brigitte, because the shield dash is a main part of her kit, and I really hope that they could nerf other parts of her kit before that, because you know, that's honestly one of the funnest parts about her, and I don't think they should be trying to remove that. It didn't really work with Doomfist. I don't know. I think these other ideas overall are good with pro players, and I wish that, you know, they'd listen to pro players a little bit more, which it seems like they are, so good to them. I just hope that, you know, the Overwatch team does that a little bit more. Maybe doesn't think way too much about their actual opinion on the balancing all the time, but instead how they will balance the characters if they have decided finally to nerf them. Now, another thing I want to say right here is something that I've mentioned a lot, and it's a little bit different, but that is that I really wish the Overwatch would update and balance the game a little bit more. Now, they don't have to make complete character rehauls all the time and, you know, change everything up all the time and make huge updates, but I'd honestly wish that there were a few smaller updates coming from time to time, especially with just huge metas that just run tyranny over everybody, like the Mercy meta is a prime example. Maybe every 2 to 3 to even month, that's more than what they do sometimes, nerf the top characters a little bit and buff the bottom characters a little bit more than a little bit, so that, you know, everybody's feeling kind of happy. It feels like the meta's changing up a bit, and while you don't have to completely change up the meta, I think that would make a lot less people be complaining, because it would be feeling like the game is changing, even if it honestly isn't changing way too much. I guess that's kind of a way to trick the community, but I think it's a way to trick it in a good way and make people continue to think that the game is evolving instead of think that the game is just dead for like 4 weeks, which happens quite a bit. Now, another thing I'm going to say right here is that I wish that the Overwatch team would actually make a way and add a way into the game where players can find teams to test new heroes. Now, this is, you know, asking for a guild system or a role queue system or something, at least for quick play so that you can find friends. But honestly, if they can make so that there's a way to be in a good team and test a new hero instead of the traditional quick play where you're playing with 4 DPS, that would make so that people could have a much better opinion about the characters. Again, it's impossible to get a good, solid, competitive opinion about a character with regular quick play, and if they actually added something that could allow the community to get a better insight on the characters, that would be kind of nice. And I guess the final thing I'm going to ask the developers to do here is to tell the community a little bit more about what you're doing and why you're doing it. For myself, personally, I do like the developers. I like how they're trying their best. I like how they're focusing. And I know that a lot of times we're asking for stuff that maybe isn't reasonable, or maybe we have the stats wrong, and a lot of times the community is wrong, and we just have to accept that. But I wish that at least the game developers would tell us more, again, what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're going to be doing it, and how it will affect the game, and how we should think it's going to affect the game, instead of just kind of shoving in updates with no real context, because sometimes that happens. And like with the May update, I mean, it came out and they pretty much said a 1 sentence, like, not paragraph, I don't know, 2 to 3 sentence paragraph about, you know, we wanted May to be stronger, now she can freeze multiple people, and that's it. And there wasn't way too much context, and honestly telling the community a bit more, I think, would be nice about balancing, asking the community a bit more. I guess trying to keep them pleased. But right here, I am also going to send a message to the community, because we aren't doing the best either, honestly, guys. What we need to do is to try out new changes and not instantly complain and not instantly say that they're OP. I'm looking at a lot of the YouTube channels right here. I'm not going to mention anybody, but all I'm going to say is that people saying that the Ana buff is extremely OP and game-changing, it's simply not. Being able to shoot through your teammates. It's nice, but it's not game-changing. And I think that the community and, you know, people making videos about the game and everything make it more realistic. And honestly, by you dramatizing everything, Blizzard thinks it's actually that way. And if you complain to high heavens about something because you want it changed right now, sometimes Blizzard might change it quite a bit too much, and we saw that a lot with Doomfist Punch. I think that, again, is a good example. And overall, as a community, we should be perceptive. We should tell the developer team what we want, but we also should be receptive. We should also listen to what the developer team is thinking and realize that we need to try these new changes at least for like 5 days and see how they work before we complain OP or underpowered. We just do it way too fast, and honestly, that's my least favorite thing about not just this community, but really every gaming community. Just be a little bit more open to changes, and again, if they are overpowered, give it a few days, and if they are indeed overpowered, tell the developers why you think they're that way, and how you would maybe fix them with a few small updates and a few tweaks, or maybe some just damage number changes. Maybe with the new Hanzo update, we can see with that. Hanzo, I guess, is another good example of kind of a weird thing. They just shove him straight into ranked with no real context while we wait like for 3 months for Brigitte. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to be said, but yeah, you know, for the community and for the developer, I guess try your best to actually help improve this game instead of just continue down this path where everyone's frustrated, nobody wins. I really want everybody to win because I love this game. I think it's extremely enjoyable, and I want to keep making content on it, but hearing so much negative opinions from both sides just it makes it kind of hard, and I'm really hoping for some new balance changes in the future. I am extremely excited about Overwatch. I'm loving the new character, hoping she gets balanced again, but you know, there's a lot of stuff going well. I just hope that this one balance problem could be fixed, because I think this is one of the main things holding a lot of people back from wanting to play the game a lot. With that all said though, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. You can tell I really cared about this video and the topic because it's above 12 minutes long. If it's a 10-minute long video, you know, it's an alright idea. I gotta stretch it out for YouTube. But if it's a 12-minute long video, well, you know I'm really interested. So there's a little pro tip for the future. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and tell me your own ideas about what you would like to be changed for the balancing and the way they balance in the future of Overwatch. I'm sure that I missed some stuff. I'm sure that I maybe said some stuff that was incorrect, and I'd like to hear you guys' opinions about that and fixing me up. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and as always, have a wonderful day.